Okay, welcome back. Here we are, week 12, I think. And last week we talked about the beast. We delved into the beast quite a bit. This week we get to talk about the Whore of Babylon. I was on my message out, I was gonna say, "Hey everybody, today's Whore Week," and I thought, no, that's probably not a good idea. Could be misconstrued. And then I thought, well, I could say Friday is Whore Day, and that didn't work either. But that's what it is. We're going to talk about the whore of Babylon, and that's really the whole topic of today. Revelation 17 and 18 talks about the whore of Babylon, and so we're going to dive in here in just a minute. We're going to start going through what the whore of Babylon really is. But just to give you a little bit of a kind of a sense of where we're headed, we've got today is the whore of Babylon. That's Revelation 17, Revelation 18. 2 chapters are dedicated to the whore of Babylon. There are only 22 chapters in the book of the Revelation, and 2 chapters are dedicated to the whore of Babylon. So obviously it's important for us to have some sense of what and or who the whore of Babylon really is. Revelation 19 and 20 is the day of the Lord and the judgment. And Revelation 21 and 22 have to do with the bride of Jesus. And really, that's pretty much it. And then what the new heavens and the new earth look like and what the millennial kingdom of Jesus looks like. So we have this week, we have next week, and then we have a week after that. That last week, the Revelation 21 and 22, in theory, might take 2 weeks, but I'm not thinking it will. I think it'll probably only be one, which means that in 3 weeks from now, we'll be having our final get-together, which is a time where we get together and we just get the chance to ask questions and talk about what we learned, and we'll end it with a meal of some wonderful kind. Mary is a great cook, so I'm sure she'll put something fun together. And so bring thoughts and questions that last week. So what would that be? Like the 13th of January, I think, will probably be our last class, right? So I want to jump into Revelation 17, so you can turn to Revelation 17. And maybe you're already there. But where we left off was the, let's see here. The Battle of Armageddon was being put together, the end of the 7th vial of God's wrath. If you remember, we covered the vials of God's wrath in Revelation 16, and the very first vial of the wrath of God was poured out on the beast's kingdom. So we know that the vials of God's wrath can't happen until the beast's kingdom exists, and we know that the beast was released out of the bottomless pit. It appears from Scripture as if the beast was released. The beast was released from the bottomless pit on the 5th trumpet. So we know that the 5th trumpet, it says that the bottomless pit was opened, that creatures that looked like locusts that had stingers in their tails were released from the bottomless pit. It says that the smoke from the bottomless pit filled the sky and the sun was darkened from the smoke, and that there was a king over the bottomless pit, and that his name was Abaddon and Apollyon. That's the only reference we have to a spirit leader coming out of the bottomless pit. So when we look at the beast being that demon spirit of Apollyon and Abaddon, the reason why we come to that conclusion is because it's the only one that's identified. Now, could there be another demon spirit that was released from the bottomless pit? Possibly so, and maybe it's just not named, right? So do we know for a fact that Apollyon and Abaddon is actually the beast's spirit? We don't know that, but it sure seems to suggest that he was, since he was named, and then later on specifically referenced, that the spirit that came from the bottomless pit, and that there's only one that's ever referenced in the Revelation, and that then it says the spirit that came from the bottomless pit. It identifies it as the beast later on when we were reading. So I say all that just to say there's no place in the Revelation that says Apollyon and Abaddon is the beast, but the way that Revelation is written, it points to that. It seems to suggest that. So I just want to make certain that we're on the same page there. Let's see here. What else was there? Oh, at the end of the 7 seals, there was an earthquake and great thunder and a voice from heaven. And then at the end of the seventh trumpet, there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was since men were upon the face of the earth, so mighty an earthquake, so great. That's Revelation 16:18. At this Revelation 16 earthquake, it says that the city was divided into 3 parts. So just mental note on that, because that actually has some bearing later on. And then this one says in Revelation 16:21 that there fell a great hailstone about the weight of a talent each, was about 100 pounds. So you can imagine a 100-pound ball of hail whizzing through the sky, at, 32 feet per second is gravity. So what would that end up making it by the time it was done with wind resistance? Like 140 or 150 miles an hour or something like that? I mean, I'm just guessing, but it seems like it'd be around 170, maybe 170 miles an hour. Coming through the sky at 170 miles an hour, if it would hit this roof on this house, likely it would not stop it, right? I mean, a 100-pound piece of ice coming at my rooftop at 170 miles an hour, my roof's not going to do anything but just part ways and let it fall through, right? So you can imagine when it says here, there fell upon great men great hail from heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent, and men blasphemed God because of the plague of hail, and the plague thereof was exceedingly great. Which means it wasn't just one or two like bowling balls of hail, right? Bowling ball is what? I mean, has anybody bowl? Is that like a 20-pound? Is that like a typical bowling ball, 12 to 20?
8 to 12.
So 8 to 12? So we'll split the difference and say 10, right? That's roughly, in essence, 10 pounds, give or take some change, is about a gallon of milk, right? So you can imagine grabbing 10 gallons of milk with one hand. That would give you a pretty good idea of 100 pounds.